Okay,
That's
Parkins.
Adorable.
Which?
Oh. I just think Joe Brady was definitely saying Josh Allen's the best football player in the league. I think it's certainly on the table that Mentor was saying Lamar's been the best player when he's won the MVPs. Because the way he said it was like one of the best players, the best. I took that. I wasn't trying to. I took that as he means when he was
that
the MVP.
he has reached that mountaintop.
I don't know. He was saying it as boldly as Joe Brady, but
yeah, it might be a distinction without a difference, right? He's praising his guy and saying that he can be the best player in football. Yeah.
All right. Which quarterback duo with a new head coach is closest to winning the Super Bowl in your eyes, Parkins?
Well, I'm going to stick with the team that I thought was going to win the Super Bowl this year, the Bills, that made it to the playoffs. And went further, obviously, than the Ravens did, although it didn't end up how I thought. And maybe you guys will say this is reductive, but there's questions about both first-time head coaches. Mm-hmm. Obviously, both organizations are in a period of transition, and obviously, the next coach could be worse than the one they had. Right. Minter could be worse than Harbaugh, certainly on the board, and Brady could be worse than McDermott. But I'm still pretty confident that Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson, and I know he's better than him when it counts. In the playoffs, these are not comparable players. They are comparable in the regular season. But in the playoffs, and you got to win 3 or 4 playoff games in order to win a Super Bowl, I will just take Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson 10 times out of 10 in the playoffs. And I know that's maybe a slight spin on the conversation, but Brady and Minter are the same exact type of question mark as head coaches. So I will just default to the quarterback that I trust more in the postseason.
I mean, that's fair. Obviously, Josh has been better in the playoffs, but I have questions about the Bills' defense.
Yes.
Their offense is going to be great, like it always has been. But the defense, I'm not sure, because I agree with what Nick said earlier in the week. McDermott overachieved a lot of years with that defense. And maybe, to be honest, maybe with what we count as he couldn't get it done in the playoffs with his defense, maybe it was just the defense really wasn't as good as he made it look in the regular season. Then when they had better competition, they couldn't get it done. I'm convinced that both offenses, Ravens, Bills, is going to be good because of the quarterbacks. Jesse Minter has proven to be a great defensive coordinator in his brief time with the Chargers. So I don't have the questions about either side of the ball in Baltimore. I do have a question about the Bills' defense. So that's why I would say Baltimore. They're both in the same boat, but I would lean toward Baltimore.
So I think it's on the board that neither one is that close next year. I don't like the rookie head coach thing. I understand the need to move on for both of these teams, but I think that there is a cost associated with that, and there's a real cost associated with that in this head coaching cycle where there weren't a bunch of veteran proven coaches available. The one, Mike McCarthy got hired. I know you don't love that.
John Harbaugh got hired.
Well, yeah, but John Harbaugh is one of the guys who got fired from these teams. I didn't think the Bills were going to hire him. Robert Saleh, I wouldn't have felt great about it. Just there wasn't, the surefire. Not that there's ever surefire, but Jim Harbaugh felt like a surefire answer. Sean Payton felt like a surefire answer. Hell, Andy for the Chiefs a dozen years ago felt like a surefire answer in that moment. So I don't love that piece of it. I don't love, on the Bills side, that I didn't think that the person they ended up hiring as head coach, Joe Brady, was going to get a head coaching job elsewhere. I do like the fact that I feel like Jesse Minter was. That Minter kind of had his choice of jobs. I know Joe Brady said this is the job he wanted and he interviewed for other jobs, so I don't know if I can't prove that, but it seemed like Josh Allen liked him. They liked the continuity, so they kept him. But the real thing that's changed enough for me, Danny, that because I normally would have just said exactly what you said, which is I don't trust Lamar in the playoffs, and I do, to a degree, trust Josh in the playoffs, certainly in the wild card round and then somewhat after that. Man, one of the things that used to work against Lamar is, that's such a tougher division just to get there, just to win the division, just to get the home playoff game. It's so much tougher in Baltimore's path. I don't think that's the case at all anymore. I think that if you take out Baltimore and Buffalo and you look at the 6 other teams, they're competing with, New England is drastically better than the next best team. And I don't think that we have seen enough from Josh Allen as far as what his playoff performances on the road have looked like, what their success has been, that you would feel great about them having to go the wild card path again if we think the Patriots are here to stay. And for the most part, I think they are here to stay. So I wonder if the emergence of Drake May and Mike Vrabel almost offsets your graphic, which is something historically I've totally agreed with, which is I just don't trust the Ravens and Lamar come the postseason.
I agree that if we're removing Baltimore and Buffalo and then grading the other 6 teams in the respective divisions, New England would be the best team. But the second and third would be in the AFC North?
I don't know that. I mean, the second, I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be. I don't know who their quarterback is. I don't know what they're going to be without Mike Tomlin. I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be.
But we know that Mike McCarthy.
And the Jets aren't very
Right, exactly. Miami and the Jets, they should be awful. Mm-hmm. The Steelers are never awful. Hired Mike McCarthy, might be bringing back a quarterback that just won 10 games. And then Cincinnati, I know they are a one-sided team, but it is still a team with, depending on where you have them, the 4th to 6th best
Cincinnati was not much better than Miami this year. Like they did Miami
came on late.
And so
not impressive.
I agree with you. The Jets are always awful, but the Browns are pretty much awful too. So I don't know, and I don't know if that really should factor as much into my math as it is. I think that the Patriots and Drake May loom very large over this half of Josh Allen's career, and I think that is an unexpected turn of events when it looked like Josh was going to have the path Tom Brady did, which is the whole division's incompetent. Mm-hmm. It's just turnover of quarterbacks and coaches for all these teams. And I'm locked up the division every single year.
Just real quick before we move on. Christina, can you throw up this graphic of the Bills' scoring defense ranks? Right, they're second, 16. They were first, they were second, they were fourth. That's when Josh really started to come on and be a superstar. Then 11th and 12th kind of fell off, and the next thing you know, they're on road playoff games this year. Danny, did you view, because I kind of agree with Brew, did you view the Bills as an offensive team with a good defense or a defensive team with a great quarterback? Does that make sense?
Well, this year, they were an offensive team with a bad defense, right?
Well, but...
Well, I think they were a very flawed run defensive team that their pass defense was, no one passed on them. Yeah. Their run defense was so bad. Over the course of his tenure, you're right. Sean McDermott has had their defense overachieve, and they've had a great quarterback. I think it's shifted. I think now they are considered, I would pencil them in to be a top 5 to 7 offense, like an offensive team. But
where do you have the defense?
Bottom, if the offense is top third, they're bottom third.
I think it's tough. I think they're signing up to win these, we're going to win a lot of games, 28, 20.
Yeah.
4. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Brew, you won that conversation.
Oh, competitive sports debate in the open.
No, it's just a good hang. Right. Tom Brady joined Brock and Salk in Seattle. Sounded pretty optimistic about Sam Darnold. All right, do you believe Sam Darnold can have another monster game, Danny?
I do. I think that Darnold can give them what they need from him in the moment. Sometimes when he's gotten shaky and made mistakes when you're watching, it does, and I've mentioned this before, it feels like they're hiding him a little bit. Like they'll throw little wide receiver screens or one read stuff and oh man, is Sam Darnold going to melt down? But since the game that we all reference all the time where he melted down, the Rams game in week 11 where he threw the 4 picks, he's been remarkably clean. They haven't always needed him to be excellent. Like in the game against San Francisco where they blew him out.
12 of 17.
He was 12 of 17, but that was just because their team
was over.
Their team was so dominant they didn't really. But he's played a lot of clean football games even when they haven't asked him to do it. Whereas the Rams, there was really never games where Stafford had unimpressive statistical box scores. They were always throwing for touchdowns inside the 5-yard line. His stats at the end of every win always looked impressive. Darnold, if they need him to light it up, he has been down the stretch. And a lot of times they're just so overwhelming that he doesn't. So, yeah, can he have another monster game? He's on a really good run right now, so I think he absolutely can.
Yeah, I think the answer to this question is of course. Yeah. And I My frustration with some folks in football media refusing to acknowledge this is a small sample size sport and that your really bad performances, even if it's just a half of one game in a huge spot, weigh super heavy on your resume and your reputation. That has to apply on the good stuff too.
Sure.
Like Sam Darnold's performance in that Rams game, to me, weighs even heavier because Stafford was so good. Because he was going to have to go throw for throw. Because when they got the ball back with 5 minutes left up 4, they put it in his hands that he had to convert again. And I mean, he had 3 first down conversions when they were trying to run out the clock, when they decided we're not running the ball to run out the clock, we're trusting Sam Darnold. And so I think that it's similar to the conversation we had to start the show. I'm not predicting a blowout. I'm not predicting Darnold throws for 325, 3 touchdowns and no picks. But he has earned, to me, the respect to say, he can do that in any spot now. If you can do that, against your divisional rival who you have played your worst football against, your 2 worst games of the year arguably were against them, even though one you came back and won. At least 6 of your 8 worst quarters of the season were against them. And then you can play
your best game.
Yeah, your best game of your entire career. Then yeah, he can do it. He can do it again.
Yeah, I think the most likely good game from Darnold is 2 touchdowns, 245 yards, something like that. But he certainly, of course, is the answer. If he can stare down Matthew Stafford, the MVP, Super Bowl champion,
why do you roll
and
your
play
eyes?
a great game, you don't think in a week where I don't know if he was watching TV or listening to the radio or anything, but all of the talk was about, can he get it done? Yeah. Is he going to melt down? Will he see ghosts? Blah, blah, blah. 6 interceptions in 2 games. And he was able to put all of that out of his mind, including the guy that he's facing across the field, and play his best game in his biggest game. Yeah, he could definitely do that.
I think it's fair. The only thing I would add, Danny, is that the Rams defense was the 26th best defense since Thanksgiving. So what I think is fair is the same like Drake has not been good statistically in these playoffs, but he has played the top 5 defenses. So I'm like, you know what? His numbers haven't been good, but if I was a professor, I'd grade him up just because these defenses were so tough. Sam Darnold played amazing against the Rams. But that Rams defense was 26 since Thanksgiving. I'll just bring it down just a little bit. Just a little bit. And kind of.
And the Patriots are playing their best defense.
And the Patriots are playing great. So I'm just going to,
you're trying to do this. So I'm really glad you did this thing here.
Yeah, I think
that's fair. But you are trying to get it to where the quarterbacks this postseason are even. And there is no amount of curve. There is no amount of extra credit you can give Drake's performance.
I'm not even interested in it. I'm not trying. Sam Darnold has played better in these playoffs than Drake, certainly. But I'm saying it's not like this. He lit up one of the worst defenses in the league is in the Rams.
So okay.
Is that not fair? Is that not true?
I think I think that doing the thing of where if we start at this point, this defense, for every conversation we have, including the one we just had, where we showed the Bills scoring defense, we do whole year. And for the Rams, we decided for their whole year numbers, they're actually a pretty decent defense. But we're going to pick this moment in time and say they were actually a really bad defense. I did not think the Rams in the 2 playoff games leading into the NFC Championship games looked like an awful defense. I didn't think
you didn't against Carolina where Bryce is scoring at will.
They did
in a freezing game against Caleb.
I thought that the Rams defense over the second half of the year was below average. I don't think it was a terrible defense, and I think maybe I should say game right before in that Bears game, I didn't think that defense looked awful.
It's just because it was free. I think I'm putting more you were there, Danny. I think it was
cold.
freezing, and it wasn't going to be like
Danny was at the other game. Danny was at the Packer game.
I was at the Packers.
Oh, you're at the Packers
That was cold
game.
too.
I'm sorry.
They were both really cold.
Could you tell it was cold? Watching on
If you want
TV.
me to confirm, it was cold.
I think it's totally fair to say since Thanksgiving they were really bad.
And maybe shouldn't waste time. Shouldn't spend as much time talking about the Rams defense in this conversation. It is to me unfair to Darnold to say we are treating his performance in the NFC Championship game with, as you put it, we are lowering the grade because we're just declaring actually that Rams defense was terrible. I don't think the Rams defense was terrible. I think that was a great performance by Sam Darnold.
I do too. But he wasn't playing Matthew Stafford. He was playing the Rams defense that was 26th since Thanksgiving.
You want to shoot
It was a lot of chatter in his ear, though.
Well, yeah. Drake headed to the Super Bowl after the worst passing game of his year. Here's how he described kind of the opposite, Danny. Who do you trust more to win in a shootout? Since Drake's talking about scoring 10 points there.
Yeah, and I tend to think that we will see a decent amount of points scored in this game. Both defensive coaches, both defenses have had great stretches. I do think the Patriots are playing their best defense of the season, but I think we're going to see points in this game. And I'm not sure. I'm sure over the course of a week we'll figure something out where I'm going to give the edge to New England. But I'm going to say again Seattle. I trust Seattle more. I think they are the more complete team. I think they've had the tougher road to get here over the course of the year. And Darnold, to my point earlier about anything he's been asked to do, he has been able to do it, whatever they've needed in the moment. We haven't seen a ton of it when the Seahawks have been in shootouts this year. But whenever they have been in whenever their defense has been Darnold has come through. It's been kind of amazing. It's 3 games. It's a 3-game sample of allowing 27 or more, when Seattle's allowed 27 or more. 31 quarterbacks have been in that situation, right? You would think the majority of the league, your defense gives up 27 or more at least 3 times. He's been awesome. It's the 2 Rams games and the Bucs game. Now, obviously, there's the turnovers in one of the Rams games, but it's because, again, this includes the postseason. But shootouts have not been a problem for Sam Darnold. They haven't been. Now, Drake May also is good in high-scoring games. He is too. But he's not first across the board in it. So I do trust Seattle in basically any game script that happens in the Super Bowl.
I trust Seattle more in a blowout as a team. Like if we talked about this earlier in our show, if I had to pick which team do you think would win a blowout, it would be Seattle. But of the quarterbacks, if they're going at it and it's nip and tuck, I'm going to go with Drake May. Just because I think he's the overall better quarterback. And I do think he's more poor. As great as Darnold just was, he could win a shootout. But who I trust more, I just think I like May's poise more. Maybe it's because he's young and he's shown that type of poise early in his career. I think he's more of a gamer than Darnold. And so I just feel like if it's that type of game and I had to pick the quarterback, again, the team would be Seattle. The quarterback, I feel like May would be the one to kind of figure it out and make the big play like he did to Booty in the Texans game more so than Darnold.
I would have felt that way a week or a month ago. But, and this might be, to use Danny's word from earlier, reductive. One of these guys is coming off the single best game of his life. The other guy is coming off the single worst game of his season. One of these guys, dealt with some mysterious, odd injury a couple weeks ago, seems to have had no impact on him, and he's fine. The other one, we learned, evidently has been dealing with a different mysterious, odd injury, and it got re-aggravated, and then he didn't practice today, and he threw for 40 yards in sunshine in the first half, and then 40 yards in a blizzard in the second half. When you look at how these 2 quarterbacks, if that's the focus of it, are coming into this game, having played this postseason, looking at Darnold's numbers versus Drake May's numbers, I trust the guy who's playing awesome, not the guy who his awesome game involved 4 fumbles and a pick. And as a little added bonus on that as far as shootout, the number 1 draft pick by a mile of the weapon you would want from either of these 2 teams is on Seattle.
In a shootout.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. The number one
maybe
weapon.
the number two. I mean, Booty's a great deep threat, but Cooper Kupp, maybe the number two.
And so I just think JSN is the best offensive
no doubt
quarterback in this game by a mile.
Nick loves the fumbles, not fumbles lost. That's a recent thing.
He's on track to break the record for a playoffs. It's noteworthy.
I know.
I think it's something. I didn't love the interception. It was kind of a throwaway one, but
Well, he's thrown 2 interceptions these playoffs. One was a throwaway. One was just a bad pass. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was actually good. But I thought it was bad.
it was tipped. Only Caleb's are good.
He throws beautiful.
Only Caleb.
Welcome back to the OT. We got Greg Jennings and Willie Colon hanging out. We go to Buffalo, where the Bills held a press conference yesterday to introduce their new head coach, Joe Brady. But as you see, Josh Allen limping on some crutches there. He's got the boot. He's recovering from surgery. But, of course, him and Joe Brady have a relationship last 3 years as his offensive coordinator. But Josh Allen was reflecting on his role that led to all this change in Buffalo. That, he can probably remove the word probably from it. Is how I felt. Like, when the owner comes out and says, I did not consider firing Sean McDermott until we lost the game and how I saw the locker room after the game, and you were the quarterback who made the turnovers and were crying after the game. If you take the owner at his word, which maybe we shouldn't, but for the purposes of this exercise I have chosen to, of course Josh Allen should feel like that. Is that not? I feel like it's the only conclusion that you could come to.
It felt morbid, that whole comment. It felt dark, man, because it's tough, right? Because you talk about the 2 interceptions, the 2 strip sacks. He had the big heave in overtime that gets picked off. It was all on him, right? He's the guy. He's our Superman. We talk about him being able to put on the cape so many times, and then your coach gets fired after it. It's tough to process. And then I think also he's on crutches, right? So all of it has like an avalanche on him as being the guy in the face of this franchise. I was a part of a firing, man. When I was at the Jets and we let Rex Ryan go, as one of the elders in that locker room, man, I felt like me, the Brickashaw Ferguson, God rest his soul, Nick Mangold, we felt like we let him down, right? Because we knew what our deficiencies was. But we felt as a unit, we could have played better. We could have won some more games. We had a young Geno Smith. We knew what he was lacking. But overall, we felt like we could have played better throughout the season. And watching a head coach, Greg, I don't know if you've ever been part of it, but Rex was crying. And they gave him his boxes and told him to exit left, right? Like his dad once coached for the Jets. Like, so there was so much, it was such an impactful moment. But it also taught that young locker room that we did have, because in 2013, we're the second youngest team in the league, that your play has consequences. And this is the consequence. So Josh, being an elder, if you will, understands that him not being his best in that game cost the man his job.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
No question.
That part right there. And we all knew all season long, watching the Buffalo Bills the last few years, as he goes, they go. And we knew these performances that he has where he's stellar, but previous years, just recently, being more efficient. This year, he had a couple games where turnovers are up. Obviously, in that game, they were up. But it's largely because of those risks that he takes, that superhero cape mentality that he wears and has to because of the lack of productivity they have in other areas. Like, you wear that. And
should ownership not have put it on him? Because I was critical of that press conference.
That's a fair question.
I was critical of that press conference because of the logical inconsistencies. Like I said on the front end that I would have fired McDermott because there was just too much scar tissue there needed to be changed after always coming up short of the defense allowing as many points in the playoff exits. A lot of people disagreed with me on that. That's fine. But coming out and saying the reaction of the emotions in the locker room are what made me think I needed to fire the coach. When the quarterback said that he was crying because he felt like he let the team down, and then Deion Dawkins started crying when he heard what Josh said. Like, they weren't crying about Sean McDermott; they were crying about Josh Allen. Yeah. At least Deion Dawkins, so like it was an odd thing for the owner to put on his quarterback.
And I think that's why that comment's heavy for Josh, because it felt impulsive, right? Like, normally when we talk about coaches being dismissed from a team, it's because the locker room has given up on the coach.
They're on the hot seat for weeks.
Yeah, their ears are falling, like his words are falling on deaf ears. Those guys was crying because they also felt like they let down McDermott. They were crying because they felt like they let down Josh. Just starting all pro left tackle, damn near had a mental breakdown because he was like, man, if Josh feels that way, then we let him down. So and then there's a firing afterward. Nobody was on the same accord. Everybody in our locker room felt like they was going to run it back the next year, and it didn't happen. So it was like, man, we blew it up.
To some degree, though, as players, you have a feeling of, man, we have to do this for coach, or else we know what could be really waiting for them. And when I look at Josh and I look at this team, the fact that there was no Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, there was no Lamar Jackson in the postseason, and you still didn't get it done. That combination of not having those individuals that you've had success with, but you could take a loss to Patrick Mahomes, but the way that they lost, who they lost to,
it felt like a missed opportunity.
Absolutely, and that weighs more heavily on your head coach and obviously the play of your quarterback because of what he was to that team all season long.
We have more coaching news as we go to Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders has his guy, and it is Todd Monken, former Ravens offensive coordinator. His first stint as an NFL head coach comes at 59 years old. And Todd Monken, maybe he's just saying everything that you want to hear on the first day on the job, but he seems to be a huge fan of working with Shedeur Sanders. And then Shedeur Sanders takes to his Instagram and very excited with the, it's time and the flame emoji, you can translate that, welcoming his head coach, Todd Monken. Willie, you like this hire for Shedeur?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. We got to understand Todd Monken is only a few years younger than Pete Carroll. So I worry about relatability. On top of that, I think we underestimate that Lamar and Derrick Henry kept this guy afloat in his scheme, because I thought Lamar's ability to escape the pocket, throw the ball 15 yards down the field, keep things going off a bit pure athleticism kept him relevant, on top of Derrick Henry just being Derrick Henry in the screen game and coming downhill. At times, we've seen in big games, this man get stumped. AFC Championship 2003 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Who stumped him? Spags, right? So we've seen elite coordinators match up against him and put him in the baby seat. So now you're sitting and telling me you got Shedeur Sanders, who is not as athletic as Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, nobody is.
We have a young quarterback, a young running back in the Browns, who I think is good. But nevertheless, what he did in Baltimore, I think was only elevated because of the personnel. He's brought into this building to be the end-all be-all, to elevate this offense. And I don't think he has the same skill set as what he had in Baltimore.
So I do like it. I like it because of what we saw. If I take it for what we saw on face value, the interaction, it seemed genuine to a degree. You could tell that Shedeur felt like, man, all right, here we go. Fresh start, clean slate. I get a real opportunity to show what my worth is from the start and an opportunity to compete. That's all you can ask for. The relatability aspect of things, I think he can be relatable. When we saw Lamar at his best, a large part of that goes to Todd Monken and what he was able to implement, how the involvement of Lamar Jackson. I'm not taking anything away from Lamar, not giving it all to Todd Monken, but he shares some of that as well. I think for Shedeur, though, simply put, he's excited to have a fresh start with somebody that seemingly feels like, all right, here we go, let's do this.
I don't know if you guys have ever applied for a job where you felt like you had to say anything to get the job. You probably have not been in that situation. You guys are Super Bowl champions. I have occasionally had to, of course I know how to do that. No problem.
Right.
You
learn on the job?
Yeah, a little bit learn on the job, right? Like I'm a radio guy working in TV. I'll say anything. But honestly, Todd Monken is 59 years old, and it is his first head coaching job.
Yes, sir.
He probably wasn't going to get the opportunity to go coach Josh Allen. He wasn't going to get the best job available.
It probably felt like he aged out.
Well, right. I mean, it's rare, for your first head coaching job to come that late into. The guy was 13-25 at Southern Miss. The only time he's ever been a head coach before. He's been a career coordinator. And to your point, had a ton of success with Lamar Jackson, and that is the silver lining for Shedeur or the Browns. You could point to what Lamar was before Todd Monken got there and what he was after, and I think I got the numbers. He was better. Todd Monken is a established, good offensive coach, yes, to your point, Willie, with great talent. But do I think that if Todd Monken, had his choice of jobs, he would be like, I just want to coach Shedeur Sanders, and we almost drafted you in the 6th round in Baltimore. Like, that's just like he said what he needed to say.
It was an icebreaker.
And I'm guessing in the interview process, hey, what do you think about Shedeur Sanders? I loved him. We almost drafted him in Baltimore. I could coach him up. Like, does he
replace Snoop Huntley?
Does he right? Like, does he actually believe it, or did he say what he needed to say in order to get the only head coaching job that he could have possibly got?
So both things can be true.
Okay.
He could say what needs to be said and also have a feeling and a sentiment that revolves around that. Look, I think what he said, how he said it, the fact that they chose to bring in Shedeur, have them meet, record it, we all see it. Naturally, you're going to try to put on a little bit to make sure that you look good. But I don't think he was just putting on and just saying whatever he needed to say in that moment.
I do. Listen, the date goes better when you bring flowers and chocolates, right? So you got to start off on a good foot. You're not going to go up in there and say, hey, man, let's see how it goes. You got to say something.
And I think some people, Mike McDaniel didn't even want to interview for the Browns head coaching job to take the offensive coordinator job with the Chargers. Like, this is not that desirable of a job, but it is a desirable job if you can't get a head coaching job anywhere else.
But quick, DP, look at what he's also stepping into. There's a lot of guys in that locker room that feel like Jim Schwartz should be the guy, and he's been stepped over. So now he's dealing with some guys that are like, man, I get it. But
we're not going to say some guys. Myles Garrett feels like
there
that.
you go. Okay,
so it's a weird
spot for him to be in.
But he gets to be a head coach in the NFL.
There you go.
And there's only 32 of those jobs. So if anyone wants to hire me, might be available. I'd be a great play caller, by the way. Don't you guys think? Pass on every down.
That's the problem right there.
Yeah, every down. Shotgun.
You can't sell that.
Five wide.
Right.
5 wide.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.